This site is surrounded by Bardens Bay on this side, Lake Petite on the other side, and comes to a point. Around 5 years ago, I think around 2017, the original group, it was 3 of us. The group, I moved into the area, I was a new one, and I wanted to stop the weeds escaping from the bush into my backyard. Spoke to the other neighbours, one of which was Carolyn, who still walks the site every day and picks up rubbish. She knows about 50 birds. And she wanted this area protected for them. Hank up the road, who's quite elderly now but still walks it, he was an avid native gardener and he knew his tools and was an exceptionally hard worker. We worked for a couple of years. A lot of our successes, unfortunately, were not successful. We targeted weeds. We cleared too much. We didn't have people to maintain the site, unfortunately, and we created another level of weeds. We put flyers out to try and get more people, and we had a fantastic little group of about 4 or 5, and COVID shutdowns happened. Most of them moved away, and it was basically back to me. Wendy Glean from Landcare and the green team were fantastic. One day she said to me, "Karen, would you consider working the point? And just keep working that and get some satisfaction, and then try and work from good to bad and along the Lake Petite side." And that's what we've been doing. And when I was doing that on my own, toiling away, along came Dave and his dog.
I was looking for something to do. Karen said, "Come and help here," and I thought, yeah, it'd be good that, just pot around in there. And came down, started chasing a few weeds, found it fun. And still doing it, still getting rid of the weeds. But the biggest thing for me, and I said Karen a couple of weeks ago, that you walk round and you don't see what you've done. And one day I just walked round the head there and I looked at it and I thought, what a difference, what a difference. Might take another 20 years to get the rest of it done, but just the little things, little steps, and it makes a big difference. And it's looking really good now.
And then while I was working on another day, along came Lorna.
And I thought, I'll just go for a walk through here. Everyone seems to walk through. And Karen's sitting in there, doing nothing, just sitting there. And she said, I'm Landcare. And we chatted and I said, well, how can I get involved? And so here I am. In the, 8 or 9 weeks that I've been here, I see a massive difference. So yeah, it's really rewarding.
More the merrier.
And the 4th member of our team's not here today. She's Mandy. She works full time, and so
gives up her Saturdays.
Yeah, and she'll give up Saturdays because she loves seeing the result. When the original group started, we started with a plan which was basic target weeding, and obviously the main target weeds back then were our ochna and our lantana, and unfortunately we were a bit gung-ho. And in our eagerness, we still cleared more than we could maintain. This site is possibly a bit different to some bush sites. A lot of bush sites have natural established bush and they have weed infestations that have come from the gardens in, whereas this, in actual fact, 100 years or so ago, was a property called Clarendon. It had a house, it had extensive vegetable gardens. They used to have a nursery, I think, in Maitland. They were so proud they planted thousands of bulbs and exotic gardens. At the time we tried to turn this into a Landcare site and get permission from Council and Landcare. There were still remnants of 2 endangered ECCs that were desperately needing protecting, but the balance of weeds to the natives is quite a different balance. So when we cleaned the bush and did mosaic clearings, which is putting patches in amongst the weeds and trying to then make those areas grow out, what was happening to us is by the time we got to the next mosaic, that one had already closed in and created more weeds. The sun was coming in and all the garden weeds were coming up and everything was coming up. Wendy from the green team came about the time that the other 2 had retired and things were getting difficult. It was very hot and then we had a lot of rain, and suggested I work the point when I was on my own and work from good to bad and just keep working this point. First of all, it was lantana, bougainvillea, madeira, your ochnas and lantanas. Cleared it, and then came the Cape ivy, the buffaloes and all the weeds. So bit by bit we just have weeded and weeded. We've done a couple of small plantings, but now we're at that level of weeding the ground where we've got natural funguses and ground covers coming up. which is still a bit work intensive because we're stopping the buffalo and the ivy taking over. But we've recently, well, it was only weeks ago, guys, that we moved back another metre.
Yes.
It won't sound a lot to you guys, but to us it was yay. We're also getting a lot of bang for buck along the Lake Petite side because it's shadier, it's mangroves, and we're just constantly amazed because when we take out the bridal fern, the asparaguses, we've just been amazed. We can sit and watch the native Casuarina she oaks come up. We've got ground covers, we've got creeping brookweed, and it's just, to people that have a clean site, they probably don't see the magic, but when you know our site and know what we're dealing with, it's just wonderful, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, makes a massive difference.
One of the things that's a little bit, once again, different with this site is that it supports possibly, as I said before, 50 or more birds. We've got our regular satin bower birds and our regular permanent residents. We've got visitors, and we've even had the black red-tailed cockatoo and the white cockatoos. We've got white-bellied sea eagles and a multitude of birds, up to 50 on the site. One of the concerns that we had, especially the original member Carolyn had, is when we started clearing the lantana and doing things, if we did it too quickly, that's where all the little blue wrens lived. So in actual fact, we've got a situation where the weed is supporting as much of the food and the habitat. Well, we're trying to clear and get other stuff to come up and replace it. So I guess that in an indirect way might have caused the balancing act, where it's better for us to really work this small point and get it perfect before we move on.
That allows the bird habitat to
come back.
It allows them to move from here to here.
We've got to keep the balance the same all the way through.
Yeah, and that's tricky. As far as the other animals in there, we have a diamond python and bandicoots around the area.
So we haven't seen him yet.
We've got some flying foxes, blue tongues, some lizards, but they're at the moment probably enjoying the weed and the coverage of the weeds as much as this habitat. So it's a slow go, but we love it. We don't have a regular time. What I do is, they've all got my phone number. I let everyone know that I'm the team leader, that I have to be on site. Going to be on site. If you want to come. If you don't, you don't. And you know, if anyone out there wants to join us, you can come once a month, once every 2 months, or be on my list and I can send you a text and you can come and go as you like.